Welcome back to the KATALYST podcast. We're continuing this conversation with Brad Smith of Stellar Insight. You will certainly be remiss if you have not caught episodes 1 and 2 as you press play on this episode. So catch those if you haven't, grabbed the first part of the conversation. But Brad and I have been talking about visionary leaders, how on an individual basis and at scale, Brad's been able to do that with Stellar Insight, and really focusing on putting the energy in the right place, putting the focus in the right place. So we were just talking about really being able to kind of have that long-term plan and distill that down to meaningful, actionable things right in front of us. And I love that. And I think that's important because as you were talking, Brad, I was thinking about right out of school, went into a leadership development program and, had a lot of confidence. Things were going well. And, it was probably a year into that. And it was time to think like, okay, this is a 2-year program. We need to start thinking like, what are you interested in? What are you good at? All these HR type conversations. The company was really structured and thorough with, talent development and things. So I appreciated that. But it was, the conversation began with, what do you want? Like, where do you want to be in this company in 5 years? And I'm like, I can't think 24 months down the road, much less 60. So I kind of laughed at myself because I thought, man, like, there's even that early in my career, probably could have used a little bit more focus on what I truly wanted to achieve and not just going through the motions. But I definitely have much more of a respect for that approach now, and have, I'm definitely aligned with your thought process of being able to be specific about long-term goals. I like that. As we get into this third segment, I really want to hear, Brad, what are you excited about? Whether it's Stellar Insight, whether it's something personal, looking forward, what are you excited about? And then after that, I want to get into, I know you seem very full of advice and wisdom, particularly for younger folks. So I would love to kind of be able to pull some of that out as well. But what are you excited about?
I'm excited about the horrible things that are going on the earth.
Okay.
The whole point of suffering, I'll go this way first, I guess. The whole point of suffering is to wake us up, right?
Okay.
It's like you put your hand on a hot stove. What do? Well, first you become aware of the pain, then you yank your hand back. What's the action, right? That's the reaction, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to be a visionary leader, you have to think proactive, not reactive. So the first thing you write down, this whole segment is going to be homework, right? Write down everything you're reactive in. Where are you angry? Where are you, where do you get angry? Where do you get frustrated? What are the negative reactive emotions you have? And what's the cause, right? How did you learn that as a skill? Write all that stuff down, right? So if you use blame, what's the core of that? Blame is supposed to shift responsibility so that I don't have to be, right? If I'm not responsible, then I don't carry any burden, garbage, right? The whole point of life and its design is to make us wake up and be proactive. So start now, figure out, what do you want to leave as a legacy? In other words, where you're at, whether you're 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever, what legacy do you want to leave in the world? Think 40, 50 years from now. Where do you want to see the earth, right? What is possible? And then bring it back to, all right, how am I going to build a career that lets me do that, right? So who are your heroes? My heroes are the guys that formed the United States. George Washington, Madison, Jefferson, all of those people, Lincoln, and that big mashup, right?
Right.
All of those people, look at the depth of character they had to have. So to be a visionary leader, start with your legacy and then go back and look at your character. Who are you? Why are you that way? What are the positives? What are the negatives? How could you get to the place where you would never harm a human being? Right? How could you get to the place where you are always kind? Even in the middle of a really bad argument, how could you always be kind? Right? So what are those character traits you want to have and work with them on a daily basis? Right? And get to the place where, so what are the things that I have learned? Because of my 26 years meditating, I've learned, and I had 2 bad concussions, sitting there on the freeway, not going anywhere because there's cars in front of me, and somebody comes up and uses my back bumper at 30 or 45 miles an hour to stop their vehicle, right? My brain didn't stop, it wiggled back and forth. The first one in '06, my brain didn't cover analytical skills for 2.5 years. So I'm going in the middle of that 2.5 years. How am I going to heal my brain? Right? So I went down into the biochemistry of it, studied what it takes to heal and build new cells, and worked my way out of that. Happened again. I had better care. My healing cycle was less. So and the total time back to fullness was 3.5 years the first time.
Wow.
Okay. How do you heal your brain? You know, how do you heal your life? How do you get the things out of your life that you want, right? Be visionary for you, and then learn those skills for everything you ever do.
Yeah.
So my vision, oh wait.
No, you don't have to wait.
Okay.
Let us have
My vision for the earth. Let's put it this way. If every human being had gone through and constructed themselves to the place where they could not harm someone, there wouldn't be murder. There wouldn't be child abuse. There wouldn't be spousal abuse, whichever direction that goes, right? There wouldn't be that, because people wouldn't use anger as a substitute for feeling powerless. If you think deeply enough into anger, it's permission for us to be powerful. And what's underneath that is we don't think we are.
Wow.
So if you're angry, go look at yourself and say, where do I feel powerless?
Yeah.
And then recognize that you're the only one that limits you.
Yeah.
Right? There's creative, positive ways. You're in a business. It's a big business, right? And you're 5 steps away from the leader, or 20, right? It's like, how can you create a cell of positive contribution where you're at, and be visionary where you're at, so that literally everything around you that you touch turns positive and grows faster, right? Evolves. That's visionary leadership at the very bottom all the way to the top.
Yeah, I love that. That's very much in line with some prior series and conversations from the KATALYST podcast, because that's one thing that one of my mentors early on put it differently, and probably not so polished and eloquent, but it, the way it was put to me was basically like, you're going to manage this group just on one shift, one area, first manager role. Treat this like it's your business. There are going to be some things that you have to comply with and copy from other. And we're talking about a Fortune 500, like very mature company, and not really trying to do any drastic change, needing it, but not really trying to. Just, hey, let's get incrementally better. We just need to beat this competitor over here. No real innovation. So, it was one of those things where it was, hey, you have an opportunity to, again, kind of, there are going to be some things that are handed out to you, expectations and things like that, but make room for how you want to see things done. Make room for the positive impact you want to make. So I've always wanted to kind of pass that thought process along of, regardless of where you're at in the organization, you can still have influence, even if you don't have the title, or manage other people. You can still have a lot of influence on,
Well, there's 2 organizations. There's the formal organization with a formal structure, and there's the informal organization, right? And one of the things that I've found in my career is I can actually persuade people to do things, right?
Yeah.
One of the things about chemistry, because I did formulation chemistry for a long time, you walk into an empty room and you have certain goals and you build a lab. I did that twice, right? There is unconstrained creativity and there's constrained innovation, unconstrained innovation.
Mhm.
One is, okay, I have this idea, maybe it'll work in the market, right?
Mhm.
But one of the things I did was involved FDA constraints. How do I manage inside the constraints of the FDA and create the product I want to, right? And so constrained creativity is part of visionary leadership where you are at. Look at the constraints and figure out, not how to worm your way around it, right? But
Right.
how can you go straight to it and say, okay, who do I have to persuade and how can I persuade someone to accomplish something that I can't tell them to do?
Right.
That's actually leadership, right?
Yeah.
So we can get in my definition of leadership, right? My
Yeah.
definition of leadership is a little bit like plumbing, right?
Yeah.
Management is structure for effectiveness. It focuses energy and it points it in a certain direction and helps it be effective,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Inspiration is leadership is inspiration. You reach into someone, you put an opportunity in front of them, right? And you find out what's their why. Why do they want to do something? What inspires them? What motivates them? Once you understand that, then you can lay opportunities in front of people and say, here's an opportunity. Every time you inspire somebody, there's more energy in the room. It's like well drilling. Drill down, find the water, let the water gush out, right?
Yeah.
That's leadership.
Yeah.
So go drill wells.
I love that. I love that. Any final thoughts of advice or anything you're excited about as we kind of start to wind down?
There's this whole realm I'm excited about.
Okay.
I learned in meditation that intuition is a result of training the brain across the hemispheres. So you can use binaural beat meditation or just meditation, but it takes longer to train the brain to think not just in the beta brainwave level, but to be active in the alpha brainwave level, which is normally the epiphanies in the shower sort of thing, or driving down the road or doing dishes. That's the alpha brainwave level. The top level of a sleep cycle is the theta brainwave level, and the delta is the bottom 30 minutes of a 90-minute sleep cycle. After a few years with a binaural meditation or just regular meditation, you can hold open in regular waking consciousness and actively motivate, if you would, between the levels. Delta. There are things available at the delta brainwave level and the theta brainwave level that are not normal. That's where intuition lives. So, you store all your emotional garbage in the theta brainwave level. Once you've gone through that, then you're calm and still inside, and you have access to thoughts that are impressions that come up from your subconscious and break into your conscious intuitive mind as a concept, and then from there up into the analytical mind for words and numbers, right? Do that as a process, as a substance, take this impulse, go find a way to meditate that works for you.
Yeah.
Right? Do it daily. Train your brain to go deeper and deeper and deeper and have the experiences that are open and possible to you in that realm. Okay? Do that. Become self-aware. Know what's you and what's not you. Make choices about who you're going to be and become visionary leaders from the character level out, because life is designed so that when it comes outside in, it's painful. When it's inside out, you're in charge and you can then move forward and learn your way through everything.
Wow. I love it. That's awesome. Brad, thank you. I want to make sure I capture what's the best way to contact you if a listener wants to reach out. Is that just kind of hitting you up on LinkedIn or?
Either hit me up on LinkedIn or go to my website, which is Stellar Insight Inc. inc.com.
Okay.
And if you want to talk to me, there's a place to set up time to talk.
Perfect. I will have links to that in the show notes. Brad, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you.
Fantastic discussion. There's a couple things in here, have got me thinking, and we might have to bring you on the KATALYST podcast again. These are fun topics, things that I enjoy exploring. Kind of the underneath, the foundation of things that make us good leaders. So I appreciate you helping kind of think through that and give us some homework.
Good. Glad to do it. If I can learn something, I'm going to share it,
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.